All right, y'all, who's ready for the Fallout preview? Let me hear you say Fallout. Let me hear you say Fallout. Let's go.
Too much vision got you down? Don't fret. Fallout is coming to Magic the Gathering. Thanks to the innovative minds at Vault-Tec, the post-nuclear wasteland of Fallout is now available in stunning 2 dimensions. Portable, stackable, collectible. This incredible 2D technology makes for hours of entertainment. No electricity necessary. Perfect for those candlelit nights in your vault. But wait, there's more. Power armor? Of course. Nuka-Cola? Help yourself. Wasteland horrors? Take your pick. Bobbleheads? Collect them all. Return to the Wasteland once more with the Magic the Gathering Fallout non-electric card set. Wasteland tested, Vault-Tec approved.
Introducing your host for this panel, Harless Snyder.
Hey, y'all. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the panel where we will talk about all things Fallout. I'm your host, Harless Snyder, and I'm a massive Fallout fan. So when I got asked to work on this project, elated is not big enough of a word. I was ecstatic. Fallout, the beloved video game franchise, follows players as they explore the wasteland in a post-nuclear world. And since 1997, Fallout has been delighting fans. And now I, along with some very talented friends, get to tell you all about Magic the Gathering Fallout. So let's meet some of the folks who brought Fallout into Magic.
Oh, no, there we go.
All right, everybody. So, first up, we have the game designer you all know and love, Chris Mooney. So we put our hands together.
Hello, hello.
The woman who made it all happen, the lead game designer on this set, Annie Sardellis.
Yeah.
Woo! And finally, all the way from Bethesda, we have Dane Old's lead artist for the Fallout franchise and much more. Welcome Dane to the stage, everybody. All right, so what we're doing today is pretty, well, special, if you know what I mean. We are going to walk through all 4 of the commander decks for this set, including the yet-to-be fully released Science deck. But first, I want to know how each of you got into Fallout in the first place, and I will start with you, Chris.
Yeah, so I first started with Fallout 3. That was my first Fallout game. Kind of part of that generation. Played all of them since then, went back and played the old ones as well. I'm also a big board game fan, so I've played a lot of Fallout board games. Yeah, big fan.
Right.
Annie.
Yeah. My story is very similar to Chris. Started with Fallout 3, and I also played a lot of those board games with Chris while working on this product, so it was a great time.
And Dane, I bet your story's a little different.
Yeah, so I started at Bethesda Game Studios right after Oblivion shipped. I started on the Shivering Isles expansion. Then Fallout 3 was my first big ship title. And then basically worked on every Fallout thing ever since. Basically, I make weapons and characters. That's what I do.
Pretty cool, right? Yes, come on. All right. So my Fallout introduction story is a little different. My now husband, at the time boyfriend, was dating me when Fallout 4 came out, and it came out on our anniversary. Oh. And he didn't know what to do. But I made it easy for him. I said, buy me the game too, and we'll play it together. So we put on our Pip-Boys, we put 2 TVs in the living room, and we made our characters and played Fallout 4 together. So that was super fun, and I've been a fan ever since. All right, so let's kick this thing off. Let's get started here. You guys ready?
Yeah.
All right. We are gonna start with our Mutant Menace deck, helmed by none other than the legendary Mothman. So Chris, can you tell us a little bit about this card?
Yeah, so when making this product, we really wanted to make sure that we hit the entire history of the Fallout franchise. So throughout all of these decks, you're going to see characters and items and moments all the way from Fallout 1 through Fallout 76. And so when we were looking for super cool, interesting monsters to put on the front of the mutant deck, we came upon the Wise Mothman, who is a legendary version of the Mothman that are present all throughout the West Virginia wasteland. And yeah, just super fun creature to bring here and to kind of like showcase this deck being full of weird and fantastic mutants.
Amazing. And then next up, we have something a little interesting. Annie, can you tell us about the Master?
Yeah, so Chris just said we wanted to include cards from the whole franchise, so here he is, finally, at long last, the Master from Fallout 1. He's the main bad guy there and believes everyone should turn into super mutants. It's the future. Join the Unity. It's great. So this card itself leans more into like the graveyard self-mill angle of the new rad counter mechanic, whereas like the Mothman's all about making a big mutant army. So it was just really fun to capture both Fallout 1 and the newest game, 76, in the same deck.
I have to say that the Master is probably, the art team was horrified by this card. Just like right from the concepting all throughout every sketch, they were like, are we really sure we want to do this? We're like, that's what the Master looks like.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah, I really love seeing a throwback all the way to the first Fallout here. I also really love that we get to do some graveyard shenanigans. Also, the Mothman is probably my favorite cryptid, so
Yeah.
here.
Anybody here a Mothman fan? All right. Fantastic. Okay, next up, we are going to talk about some ghouls. Annie, can you take us through, or I'm sorry, Chris, can you take us through this one?
Just a couple of ghoul guys we got here. So for, I'm sure that many Fallout fans in the audience know, but the ghouls are sort of the zombified mutants that roam the wasteland, some of which are mindless, ravaging, just monsters, but others of which are fully fledged, characters with their own humanity, still inside. So Hancock here from Fallout 4, the mayor of Good Neighbor. Ghouls aren't always welcome throughout the wasteland, so Hancock is the mayor of a town that was set up to allow for ghouls and super mutants to, have their own little society. And then also we've got Raoul the Ghoul from Fallout New Vegas, companion, mechanic, helps you out. My favorite thing about Raoul is that for anyone who might be familiar, Danny Trejo, the actor, was the voice actor for Raoul in the games. And you might have also seen Danny Trejo featured in a number of Magic adverts throughout the years. He's a big Magic fan, big Gigantosaurus fan.
Absolutely.
And so it's super awesome that we get to put one of his characters in the game. And now we have a Danny Trejo character in Magic the Gathering.
Absolutely. I remember Danny being in our Adventures in the Forgotten Realms video, which was very fun. All right, moving right along, we are going to talk about some mutants, Annie.
Okay, yeah, here's some super mutants. We have Strong. He is a companion mutant you can actually get because he has been cultured through classic literature like Macbeth to not immediately murder you on sight like many other super mutants. And also we have Agent Frank Horrigan, who will kill you on sight. He is a giant super mutant who works for the Enclave, the big final boss of Fallout 2. And so we tried to express that on cards of very large stats. So.
Absolutely. Okay, next we're going to talk about some counters. This is an interesting grouping of cards we have here because, I don't know, to me this is such an iconic grouping, right? You play Fallout, you recognize. If you play Fallout and you don't know what a radroach is, did you even play Fallout?
As a Tunnel Stakes representative, we all know that rad roaches are the most dangerous creature in the wasteland, all right?
True.
So yeah, we have a couple of creatures that are showing off the rad counters mechanic for anyone who maybe hasn't had a chance to look through all the spoilers. If you've got rad counters, then at the start of your first main phase, you're going to mill that many cards. And each time you mill a non-land card, you're going to lose a life, and you'll also lose a rad counter. So it's pretty fun. It's a little unpredictable. You don't know exactly, how much life you're going to lose each turn, how long it will take for you to get, rid of all of your rad counters. But just like radiation in the Fallout games, sometimes it's an upside. Sometimes you want to irradiate yourself so that you can start filling your graveyard, triggering your mill conditions, stuff like that. The radiation counters were a lot of fun. It was something that we came up with very early on and went through multiple iterations on, and was really happy to end up with a version that honestly kind of mimics the actual radioactive decay that happens. Like initially we were kind of going for a half-life joke, like, oh, you lost half your rads. But people, they didn't want to do math every turn, et cetera. And going with the triggering off the milled cards not only made it easier to resolve, but actually kind of was a better model of what we were going for with the radioactive decay. So there's plenty of cards in this mutant deck and throughout all of the decks that are going to use rad counters in a variety of different ways.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think, flavor-wise, mechanics-wise, this is probably my favorite of the bunch. This one's really cool.
Yeah. Who else is going to be playing this deck? Anybody? Anybody? All right. Sounds good. All right, so we're actually going to move on to our next deck, which is, yeah, you know him. It's the Hail Caesar deck. Annie, can you tell us a little bit about this?
Yeah, wow, we got a lot of Legion fans here. But yeah, here's Caesar, who leads the Legion, which is the largest Raider faction in New Vegas.
Absolutely.
Yeah, is it Caesar or Kaiser?
Ooh, much contested. All right, and then next up we have a couple of pretty important characters from Fallout 4. So Annie, can you tell us about Elder Arthur Maxon and Kellogg?
So besides just Raider factions and military factions, we have a couple other representatives within this deck. First up is Elder Arthur Maxon, who is the lead of the Brotherhood of Steel incarnation in Fallout 4. We have a call out to a very pivotal quest that we use as a flavor word on his card. I'll leave you to assume what that quest is about based on the mechanics. And we also have Kellogg, Conrad Kellogg, who is a mercenary who, like within the first 5 minutes of the game, steals your baby and shoots your spouse in Fallout 4.
Yeah, how is that playing with your...
Oh my gosh, right? So I'm with my partner playing Fallout 4, my first Fallout game. I create my partner as my partner, because that makes sense, right? Does anybody else do that? And then immediately your partner dies. And I was like, oh no. But we're married now, it's fine.
It all worked out.
It all worked out.
Yeah, we knew for Kellogg, especially with that intro, that we needed something special. So we originally had this 44 mag, but it needed a little something extra. So they actually had me make kind of the heavy-duty barrel that's like specific to his gun. And also, it's really cool seeing Elder Arthur Maxon on a card. I also designed the Gatling laser that he uses for Fallout 4. Anybody ever use the big heavy-duty Gatling laser in Fallout 4?
Yeah.
Got to make that one too. So yeah, I really love seeing this.
I'm a big fan of his jacket.
I know.
I mean, I'm sorry, I do have to kill him in a lot of playthroughs
One of the
just
best
so I can get the
jackets in video
jacket.
games, yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next card. And Chris, I'd love you to talk about these cards.
Yeah, so we've got a couple of New Vegas characters, some fan favorites. Yes Man, probably one of my favorite cards just in the entire set. Really enjoyed being able to, capture the flavor of this character. He shows off this quest counters mechanic, which is a little mini theme that runs throughout all of the decks. There's got a lot of quest giving or different creatures involved in quests. Both these cards actually have quest counters. So that's just a little thing, a fun nod to the games of how many things give you quests. So yeah, Yes Man was really fun to work on, great flavor. Boone here, another New Vegas companion, and my fun anecdote about Boone is that when we first got the art in for Boone, he did not have the hat.
Oh, no.
He was wearing like a hood or something. And I think me and a couple other people were like, we need the hat. People want Boone's hat.
Yes.
So here we have Boone up in his perch with his classic hat and sunglasses look. So we got that done.
Everyone stop, it's hat or nothing.
Yeah, stop the presses.
Yeah, I really love the treatment you guys did on these cards. Also a big fan of the way the Scaretrons looked in New Vegas. I love their weird CRT screen with a face on it. Just such a cool design thing, and it's really done well on these cards here.
Yeah, and you kind of got to see some of your stuff in this game, right?
Yeah, it's kind of a trip. So, New Vegas was the one I got to play the least because I was busy moving on from Fallout 3 to Skyrim at the time. And before I was doing this, I was like, I got to brush up and play some New Vegas. And so as I was playing through that, got to see a bunch of my work from Fallout 3 again, which was really cool. And yeah, just love seeing this on these cards too. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, next up, we have another grouping that is just quintessential. I mean, these rats. I love. Does anybody play rats in Magic? Is that a thing you like to do? Chris, can you talk about these?
Yeah, so here we've got some cards with the squad mechanic. So that was a mechanic that was originally introduced in the Warhammer 40,000 commander decks. But Fallout, we just found there were so many concepts for creatures that wanted to come in a big group. You fight so many different enemies that are just like a full squad of raiders or a swarm of rats. So we thought that it was a great fit, and we wanted to bring it back, and came up with a couple of different twists on the mechanic, different ways of getting your extra copies, or fun things for them to do when they enter or leave the battlefield, or ways for them to interact with each other.
Awesome. And that is going to cover our Hail Caesar deck. So next up, we have, I'm excited about this one. We have Scrappy Survivors. Anybody recognize this best boy here? Andy, can you tell us about Dog Meat?
So yeah, we've been seeing Dog Meat's face since day one of our previews, and he was also like a day one card. Like it was like, all right, we got to nail Dog Meat. Let's get him on the face of a deck. So I hope you enjoy Dog Meat and making junk tokens.
Yeah, it's special for me seeing Dog Meat on a card here. So when we were working on Fallout 4, one of our level designers brought in their dog, who's a German Shepherd, to run around the office, and got a bunch of reference video of her running around. And so it just kind of takes me back seeing this on a card. It's really cool.
Now you said her, so our best boy is actually a good
Actually,
girl?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. Okay, next up. If y'all have played Fallout 4, I know you know this man. Let's talk about Preston.
Yeah, I mean, Preston was just a character we knew we absolutely had to hit. He's so memorable. I'm sure everyone in the audience, we can all say the famous catchphrase together, another settlement needs your help.
Thank you.
and so we just wanted to find a way for him to bring that settlement, that meme that is that shared experience of pretty much every single Fallout 4 player, in order to bring that into the game, have Preston create these settlement tokens, and then also to find a way for him to use them in a really fun and interesting way. So I think that there'll be a lot of fun things that you can do with Preston, in addition to reliving your memories of playing Fallout 4.
Absolutely.
Preston was actually really important to the early sort of artistic development on Fallout 4. When we got started on that project, that laser musket he's holding was actually one of the things that we used to kind of help set the tone for both the character and the setting. That was actually the first gun we made for Fallout 4, and it was the first gun I got to make for Fallout 4. So it's really cool seeing it on a card here. Yeah.
Nice.
That's exciting. Okay, next up, two other really memorable characters. We've got Kate, and we've got my sweet baby angel Codsworth. So helpful. Chris.
Yeah, so for Fallout 4, we wanted to bring in a couple of the memorable companion characters. Kate here, the brawler. You meet Kate, you learn a bit about her backstory as kind of a cage fighter. Here, we wanted to find something that would be a fun sort of game, like a clash, if you will, between you, and other players for to help her get larger. And then Codsworth, I mean, we just wanted to make the ultimate wingman, the ultimate butler. Make sure that he was there, able to support your strategy if you're all about suiting up your one, main character. He is there as the support to help you out.
Yes.
Yeah, Codsworth is so cool. I love seeing him on this card. When I was playtesting Fallout 4, when we were a little bit later on in the dev cycle, the whole game was kind of coming together. And I remember I was starting a new character, and I bumped into Codsworth, and he actually said, oh, Mr. Olds, and I was shocked because I didn't know, unbeknownst to the dev staff, our audio director had recorded all of had the voice actors record all of the dev staff names.
Wow.
So I was pretty surprised when I first ran up there and he actually said it to me. So.
And by surprised, you mean completely elated. That's me.
Yep.
I know him. Awesome. Okay, next up we have a couple other scrappers here. We've got Moira and Three Dog.
Yeah, these are two different, pretty important NPCs from Fallout 3. So when you first come upon Megaton, one of the first cities you find in Fallout 3, Moira wants to send you on this quest, a rather benevolent quest, honestly, but not a very safe one, to create this wasteland survival guide. And so we have her making this card that can accumulate quest counters to, again, have that sort of callback to old quest cards that already exist, so you can go questing for your goblin lord while you're questing about mines. We love mines. Anyway, so we got Three Dog. Also, he's the radio DJ that you listen to on your Pip-Boy. You honestly probably can't play Fallout 3 without hearing him. If you meet him, you probably along your way to find your dad. And there he is, the iconic radio host.
If you guys will indulge me, I have to say, seeing these on a Magic card really takes me back. You know, Fallout 3 was my first big video game that I got to work on. And so this was like 2007-ish, back when I was working on that. And it's just really special for me. Also, like, I'm a big Magic fan, or I wouldn't be here. And so getting to see these things that I worked on were an important part of my life as a creative, now you know, immortalized on these cards. It's just really, really cool for me.
Awesome.
That's awesome. And next up, we got some junk.
Yeah, junk. So junk is like honestly a pretty important part of Fallout, especially Fallout 4, where you're like crafting different things, selling it for money. It's used for all sorts of things. But it's very distinct from like treasure, which we already had to be bottle caps. Like, what are you doing? And like food, it's like, yeah, those are like cram and squirrel bits and stuff like that. So it's like, well, what's all this junk? Like, I can pick up a newspaper, I can pick up a toothbrush, a desk fan. Any desk fan enjoyers? But basically, I wanted to have a new mechanic that expressed all the junk in Fallout. So here's a bunch of cards that help you make junk.
Awesome. I love that Mr. Gutsy is included in here.
Oh, yeah, because I don't know. Every time I run into a Mr. Gutsy, there's always like a car exploding or something, and that's always what kills me instead of him. So, yeah.
All right, let's head to our final deck, which is. Are you guys excited to see some cards from the science deck?
Yeah. Woo! Time for some preview cards.
Yes. All right, let's do it. I'm going to kick us off with Annie talking about our primary card, Dr. Madison Lee.
Yeah, we've seen Dr. Madison. She is one of the few recurring characters between Fallout 3 and 4, so it felt pretty important to get her on here. And she has this whole toolbox of things she can do with energy, one of which is reanimate a giant robot. So.
All right, next up we have.
Speaking of which.
Yes.
So yeah, if you've got Dr. Madison Lee, then Liberty Prime is not far behind. I mean, this was just a slam dunk from day one. We were like, what are awesome things in the Fallout universe that we want to make cards out of? And Liberty Prime, obvious. And the energy theme. I mean, energy is an important part of a lot of the story of many of the Fallout games, and especially when it comes to Liberty Prime, finding ways of powering him up is one of the major plot points, the things that they're trying to solve in the various games. So we wanted to make a giant robot that was super awesome, but you had to continuously fuel it with energy, which we thought was a fun way of using the mechanics, something that we haven't done a ton of before.
Yeah.
I love this card. Actually, one of my best friends made Liberty Prime in Fallout 4. Really great treatment, both thematically and artistically. Great job on this one, guys.
That's awesome. All right, so let's move on to our next card in this deck. Can you have Nerd Rage and not put it in a Magic set? You have to. You have to.
Wow.
Yeah, so in terms of, there were a lot of things in Fallout that are, perks and conditions and various things that the player character can get. And we thought that it would just be really fun to take those and represent them as, auras and enchantments in the game. It really felt like it was there's so many memorable ones that have, are iconic powers that have shown up in many, many years of Fallout games. So Nerd Rage was one that, right off the bat, we made a list of perks we thought would be fun to make cards out of. This was, definitely near the top half of the list, and so we're very happy to be able to make it.
That's awesome. Okay, next up, power armor, guys. Does anyone like power armor at all? You guys ready to play some power armor cards?
Yeah, right. Okay, so unfortunately, this is not the first power armor ever in Magic the Gathering. Urza beat us to that one, but we do have the T45 power armor, which y'all might have seen online. It again runs on energy, those all important fusion cores that you're lugging around all game, and you can modify your creatures wearing this power armor. Like modify in the sense of like has a counter on it, but with these various keyword counters.
Yeah, I think next to Vault Boy, you don't get much more iconic in the Fallout universe than the power armor. Good choice.
100%.
This was great.
Absolutely. Next up, we have Plasma Caster and Annie. I'm sorry, Chris.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about Plasma
So
Caster?
when we were doing energy-themed deck, one of the reasons was that we could also do some energy weapons, tons of energy weapons in Fallout. Here we've got on this one, capturing that, in various of the different Fallout games, but especially in Fallout 4 is my most memorable one, because when you crit, you just completely obliterate the enemy, turn him into ash or to goo or whatever. So here, we've got a weapon where you can pour energy into it and try to just completely annihilate whatever you're fighting. So it was really fun, again, to find different ways of using energy that played into the flavor of the Fallout universe.
Dane, do you have anything to add from a weapons expert perspective?
Yeah, I mean, this is a really great depiction. The Plasma Caster is from New Vegas. A little bit different take than the one in Fallout 4, but equally cool. And I believe that was even the way that they depicted the plasma rifle in Fallout 1. So I love seeing it here, and it really gets that point across. You get that big, goo glob that you're going to wreck house with. So yeah, great stuff.
All right, let's get into some characters. Sound good? All right. First up, we have Curie. Chris.
Yes. So one of my favorite characters from Fallout 4, and a companion that I'm not even sure. I think you can not meet her, so some people might have not even met her through their playthrough. But one of my favorites, you go through the story of Curie wanting to find, a new body to get transplanted into. And again, one of the most fun things about working on Universes Beyond is getting to take some of these stories and characters and just translate them straight into the magic mechanics. So like finding a way to make a Curie that really wanted to be put into a different body and take better advantage of her own ability was a lot of fun and a really fun package to put together.
Yeah, I insist that when you cast this card, you read her rules text in a French accent.
Okay, and next up we have a pretty important character in Fallout 4. We have Sean, Father of Sense.
Yeah, Sean. All right, so he is the faction leader for the Institute in Fallout 4. This guy is all about making synths with their synthetic people and going around and replacing good, normal, fleshy people in the wasteland with these.
Whoa! A lot of
What?
judgment on
I'm
that.
sorry. With these synth versions of them in order to do spying and be up to no good. But his design in specific is also a really important reason why we introduced the synth type. So you can literally make synth copies of your guys, and when he dies, you don't have to accidentally lose your random robots or whatever. So.
Yeah, synths are in essence robots, but the Fallout universe has so many robots in it that are so different flavor-wise and visually from robots that it felt really important to have that creature type.
Yeah.
And plus, the synth creature type also gets to spoil a couple of important plot details if you haven't played Fallout 4 yet. Keep an eye out for that.
Absolutely. Okay, I'm really excited about this next card because this is my favorite character from Fallout 4. He's a companion. He is just a good guy. He's great to have by your side. And if I had a mystery to solve, I think I might go to him. It is Nick Valentine.
Yeah. So Nick Valentine, we showed off a bit earlier, but see, not all synths are, infiltrators, all right? Some of them are just good-hearted detectives trying to help everyone,
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, honestly, Nick is probably my favorite character in Fallout 4. Also, this art depiction too, you guys nailed the noir vibes of Nick Valentine. It's great. I always love playing his quests, but you really, really captured the essence of Nick in this one.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to play with this card. Awesome.
I think that Nick, in addition to just being a great character to interact with, also helps to show off some of the fun of the Fallout universe, right? Of these people that have kind of been plucked out of time, the mix of, sci-fi and this anachronistic, old school Americana. So Nick is a huge fan favorite and really happy to be able to bring him to life.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, we have a few more individuals we would like to share with you. First up, Annie, can you tell us about this next card?
Okay, so here he is. It's your dad, James, from Fallout 3. So James is very compelled by this mission to bring clean water to the wasteland through Project Purity. So he ditches you, and you have to go find him, which we expressed as his little adventure on his card, where you go around investigating. You're always a minute too late. He's always somewhere else. But you can go find your dad with this card.
Yeah, I also really love the moment that you captured here, where at the beginning of Fallout 3, you basically learn how to do your shooting down in the vault with some rad roaches. And it's really cool, but I think even more so, what's so special about this is that really the emotional connection to the characters that propel you across the wasteland that you captured here is so important to the franchise. And yeah, I just love seeing that.
Yeah, when you put so many hours into a game like this, you really do feel like you know the characters, and you feel like this is a part of your family. And I think this card really captures that too.
Absolutely.
I love this.
Also, for anyone who hasn't played Fallout 3, your dad is Liam Neeson. So if my dad was Liam Neeson, I would also really want to find him. So
We were really stoked to get him back then. Like that was a big get for us back then. We were all like, the dev staff was really excited about it.
Okay, Chris, I think you're a little excited about this next card. Do you want to tell us about it?
I am. So here we have the Red Death. So when we talked about wanting to hit all of Fallout, we also meant hitting all of the DLCs. I don't know if we got a character from every single one in, but we certainly went through and tried to find a lot of fun creatures to bring through. And the Red Death, which is from the Far Harbor DLC for Fallout 4, there's this creature that's lurking out, that's luring all of these ships to their doom. Turns out when you find it, it's just a little itty bitty guy. But we thought it was just a fun way to capture that with the goading mechanic of just luring your opponent's creatures to their demise. So this was a fun kind of deep cut to one of the DLCs of the game.
And for people who haven't really played Fallout, what is DLC in terms of the Fallout franchise?
So DLC stands for downloadable content, and so that's for many of the Fallout games. There were additional areas and missions that were released after the initial release of the game that extended the story, added many characters, and we've seen a couple as well. I believe Raoul, for example, was I think a character from a DLC originally.
Yeah, little humble brag. I actually got to work on all those DLCs, so it's kind of cool.
Nice.
Just a little humble brag from Dan there. Okay, moving on. We like this character so much, we put her on the packaging. This is Sentinel Sarah Lyons.
Yeah.
Annie, can you talk to us about Sarah?
Yeah, she is one of my personal faves because so she is the daughter of Owen Lyons, who is the leader of the Fallout 3 incarnation of the Brotherhood of Steel, and she is in the Wasteland trying to do some good. The Brotherhood in Fallout 3 is honestly doing some pretty good stuff. They're not all about hoarding stuff for themselves like they are in other games. You can kind of hang out and she'll have your back. So.
Yeah, I love Sarah. She's very empowering, right? In her power armor and just her personality, you just feel very empowered when you have
she's
Sarah
very
behind
empowering
her.
because when I find her, I immediately hide behind her and have her soldiers kill all the super mutants. So yeah.
Do you also have her tank all the radiation at the end of the game?
How dare you? No.
Never.
All right, moving right along, we have our next card, which is Synth Infiltrator.
I think it's really cool seeing synth as a creature type. That was not a thing I was expecting. Really love seeing that on here. Excellent.
Yeah, it's especially it's really important in Fallout 4. The story is so much about the synths, about their struggle, about the the mistrust of them. Sometimes well placed, sometimes not. And so leaning into both the sympathetic synth characters you meet and also some of the maybe less sympathetic synth characters that you meet.
Absolutely. Okay, next card is Chris. I think you have a personal attachment to this card.
Yes. So there are so many Fallout games that when we were working on the design team, we sort of split out and had, we all knew something from everyone, but we had people specialize on this.
Right.
So I was a 76 specialist, and I combed through the game trying to find all of the most fun and interesting characters to put in. So for any 76 fans out there, I hope to meet you at this event. But the Motherlode is my personal favorite. She is a sentient, boring machine that you find and awaken, and she, returns later and helps you out on a heist quest. So we were looking for some, larger characters to bring into this, science and technology debt. What are some big robots that we could use? And the Motherlode was a really fun one to be able to use. And I'm just very excited that we got to put a giant, sentient, boring machine into Magic the Gathering.
Chris bringing the deep cuts. Okay, next up, I love this card. This is Bottle Cap Blast.
This one has a special place in my heart. So when we were working on Fallout 3, somewhere along the line, we decided that the fancy collector's edition of that game was going to come in a lunchbox. And so we determined that it would be really fun to make a landmine out of that lunchbox. That was one of the first weapons I got to make. It was pretty early on anyway, where I got to make this bottle cap mine, so that definitely takes me back.
That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
I mean, like Annie said initially, this was a fun one that, is an iconic, unique thing to Fallout. But also, we just knew from day one that, that we had to make treasures bottle caps.
Yeah.
That just was the most
Oh, yeah.
obvious thing to do. And so finding different ways of tying the bottle caps into different designs was a lot of fun.
So if you haven't yet, I highly recommend you head to the Fallout photo op, which is we're in the back, in the front of the hall, because you might be able to get yourself a bottle cap if you're lucky. You're very lucky. So check that out. Make sure. Okay, moving right along. We have camp.
Camp. All right, so way back in the day, in a set called Future Sight, a little mechanic called Fortify appeared in the card type Fortification. So it's been a minute, but what a better place to show fortification than literally a fort. It's your camp. It's basically the thing you lay down in 76 where you go, this is my spot, this is where I'm going to do all my crafting. And yeah. Little bizarro card, honestly.
Well, whenever we're making these decks, we always try to look through the history of Magic and find old mechanics that are fun to bring back.
Maybe
and
we
use
dug a
different
little
ways.
too deep. But here it is.
I mean, when we first pitched camp as a fortification, I really did not believe that it was going to make it all the way through. But we kept playing fun, so we left it in. And here we have it, the second ever fortification in Magic the Gathering.
Hooray.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Yes.
fortification fan.
Woo! Does anyone in the audience know what camp stands for?
It's just
I know one
camp,
of you
right?
have your phone with you.
I mean, someone's going to Google it, right, and tell us.
No,
Can anyone shout it out? No.
we're done.
I'll give you some time. You just shout it when you find it, okay?
We've rehearsed this bit a couple different times, and I still don't know the answer. Every time I Google it, I forget what it means.
All right, let's move on to our next card, which is Helios 1.
Yes.
Chris.
Helios 1. So again, when energy was the theme of the deck, we wanted to find a lot of interesting designs for energy cards. And one of the things was just, can we make a land? Is there an energy land that makes sense? And Helios 1 was the first thing that came to our mind. It is a power plant in New Vegas, but it also has this ulterior use of targeting this global laser. So yeah, I mean, we basically were like, that sounds awesome. We designed this top down, really fun side quest in New Vegas, and Here's another way for you to use your energy in the deck.
I literally just played through this quest. It was just recently when I was brushing up for this. Really cool to see it on a card here.
That's exciting. All right, guys. Well, there are so many things that you can do to interact with Fallout. You can play the game, which comes out on March 8th. You can go and check out, there's a scavenger hunt you can find. If you find all of the special pieces around the convention center, you can unlock some really cool things. And then, of course, there is a secret lair. The secret lair is actually going to have three Fallout drops, which is really exciting. So if you want to know more about that, you should check out Secret Lair, magicsecretlair.com, and you may be the first to know when those are going to come out. And I have it on good authority that if you do that scavenger hunt, you might get a little sneak peek of something from these Secret Lair drops. Ooh. Now, next up, we are going to show you every single card that is in the science deck as we walk off stage. Thank you to Chris, to Annie, and Dane for coming on to talk to us about all things Fallout.